Basically, you put a child's shoe under the floorboard, and it also is meant to be a superstitious way of protecting the building from evil. We know that 998 Aungier Street was built around 1664. It was one of the first buildings constructed in the first planned development outside the medieval city walls, the Aungier Estate. It was sort of a transitional typology. It combined the medieval-style timber framing techniques of the earlier part of the 17th century with the burgeoning brick mass masonry construction techniques that would come to define the Georgian period. 998 is a veritable time capsule of the last 350 years of its life, and by the 18th century, the rear garden had been developed as an industrial site. They were making coaches there for about 100 years. And so eventually, the rear site became more valuable than the house itself. And as the fortune, basically, of the Aungier estate began to devolve, then it just became a matter of keeping tenants in the house, and they would just put their decoration on top of the decoration of the generations previous to them. And so what we have is a stratigraphy of 3.5 centuries of living in this house. One of the most interesting things, I think, in the entire house is on the second floor. There's an apotropaic mark, it's called. It's a fancy word. All it means is superstitious marking. And it looks like an upside-down W. It actually stands for Virgo virginum, and it was put on by builders in the 17th century, and it's intended to ward off evil spirits. There were old shoes under the floorboards, and we wondered how they got there, but in fact, there is such a phenomenon called found shoes, and it's quite traditional. You see it in England and Ireland and in America from the 17th and 18th, even through the 19th century, which is basically you put a child's shoe under the floorboard, and it also is meant to be a superstitious way of protecting the building from evil. From an architectural perspective, this building is truly, literally and figuratively on the cusp between medieval and modern Dublin. It combines those timber framing techniques of the previous part of the 17th century. So we have a building that is fully timber framed. There are no nails holding these timbers together. It's all mortise and tenon connections. We also have a brick spine wall, which again, brick was only beginning to be used in Dublin in the early part of the 17th century. And so this really is a coming together of the old, the vernacular, and the new, more refined construction techniques. It's an architect's dream if they're interested in historic construction techniques and how the shape of our cities came to be.